we will talk about IAM and AWS code commit. So IAM means identity and access management. Why I am talking about identity and access management is because we require some of the users to be created to to implement the DevOps lifecycle in the AWS. So if you go to the IAM is another service in the AWS, and if you log into the AWS and in the search box, if you type IAM, you will be able to identify this IAM. You can search for IAM, and once you search that, you can go to the users, groups, roles, policies. So users nothing but different kind of users which you wanted to create in the AWS, so that instead of directly accessing the AWS account with root access, you can create multiple users and then you will be able to access the same AWS without having the root access. Or if you wanted to provide root access to the specific user, you can still provide that. Groups, groups is nothing but the categorization of users. For example, if you wanted to categorize some users as a developer, some users DevOps engineers, some users as a test engineers, so in the situation you can categorize using the groups. Roles is nothing but system account. You might not have about system account or generic account, but roles are nothing but if you wanted to, if you don't want to go for users, but if you wanted to have a common account to get some services accessibility in the AWS, in this situation you can go for the roles. And the policies are nothing but what kind of access policy who should assign to the users or roles or the groups. These policies, based on these policies only, whether the user will be having the read access or write access or list access, all these things we will define in the policy. What kind of service the user can access, or the group members can access, or the roles can access, we will define in the policy section. And if you go to the IAM, let's go to the user section. In the user section, go to the add user and you try to add a user one. I put it a name as user one. You can give any name which you are convenient. So user one, I want only for the programmatic access, and I don't want any for AWS management console access. But if you wanted to have AWS management console access, you can still choose that option. There is nothing harm in that. Once you select those things, it will ask you to it will give you three options, either to add to the respective group or copy the permission from an existing user or attach by existing policies directly. So since I don't have any pre-existing users or the groups, so I'll directly select the attach existing policies directly. And you can still, if you see the below drop down table is having the policies. You can choose any kind of policy which you can attach to the respective user. I don't want to give to the administrator access, since I only want for the code commit access. I will explain you what is code commit, because I wanted to implement the DevOps lifecycle in AWS. That is why I am selecting code commit full access to this particular user. So you can search for code commit here, and then you can, once it is listed in the policies, you can select that policy and click on the next button. So once you click on the next button, it will you can click on the create user. Yeah, user will be created, and you can see you can download the respective CSV file. So this is the CSV file which is having the credentials, or you can directly copy from this AWS secret key ID and access key. So if you download, you will be able to see the access key ID and secret access key like this. And if you in the browser itself you wanted to see, you can see like this. You do, of course you don't see the red marks. I put the red marks to cover the passwords. So now we have created a user called user one. The user one has the access to code commit. That's what the access I have given to the respective user. Now let's implement the DevOps model in AWS. Let's see how we can implement. So as I told you, in the DevOps model, there are main three stages, that is code, build, deploy. In the same way, I can relate it to the AWS, like AWS code commit, AWS code build, AWS code deploy. This is what I can relate it in the AWS. So today we will discuss about AWS code commit. So search for the code. Once you log into the AWS management console, you can search for the code. So you can see in that code commit, code build, code artifact, code deploy, all the options are there. You can select for the code build, code commit and click on the next. So code commit is nothing but code. Code means initially, if you remember, we have created a repository in the GitHub. In the same way, let's create a repository in the AWS code commit. So I type a repo one, and let's click on the next and create the repository. I have created repository called repo one, and I wanted to clone that to my local machine. So I click on the clone HTTPS. Now the URL is copied to the clipboard. So now I have the URL of repo one, which is in handy. So since I have the code commit repository, now I wanted to clone that code commit repository to my local machine, so that I can do my development on the whatever technology which I am going to develop. So for that, again, you need one more step. What is the step? You again have to go to the IAM user section. There you have to go to the created user, and you need to generate the credentials. So we have generated credentials previously. Those are required for programmatical access, but these are for AWS code commit credentials, which are going to generate now. So if you go to this section, if you click on the permissions, you can see AWS code commit full access it has. Now click on the security credentials option, which is there here. If you click on the security credentials, it will be able to show this option, and you need to scroll down a bit further so that you can see GitHub HTTPS Git credentials for AWS code commit. You click on the generate credentials, and then you will be able to download the credentials like this way, or you can directly see the credentials in the browser itself. So once you copy the credentials, and we already copied the repository, so just use this command git clone space URL and press enter. It will ask you the credentials, and the credentials which you have generated in the second time, you enter those credentials. This is the username which I have generated. User one at something username was generated, and using that I will clone. You see the CD repo one is cloned to my local machine, and when I see the content, it doesn't have any content. Now I will add the content. If you recall, we were using Maven-var is the repository which you are repeatedly using. So you can clone the code from Maven-var repository and upload that to your code commit repository. Let me show you how we can do that now. Yeah, so I will go to one folder on the desktop, and here, since I already have these things, what we can do, as I already showed in the picture, repo one is the one which I have created in the AWS. Maven-var is the code which we already know. So just to clone both the repositories in one location, and go to Maven-var, copy all the content except the .git which is there on the top list, and go to the repo one, just paste it here. If you are working on Mac OS, you can manually do a CP using a CP command, or if you are able to copy from the user interface, that is well enough. And once you copy, open the git bash in this location and type git status. If you see these files are added, let me these files are in this folder. Let me add using git add command, and then I will commit code commit initial commit initial changes, and it is related to Java var. Now I committed, I am going to push now. So I have to place the credentials. Yeah, let me do that. Yeah, if you see, when I enter the credentials, it is able to push to the respective AWS code commit repository. Now let's validate the close, and go to here, and I will go to the code commit. So in the repo one, you will be able to see the code which we have pushed right now. This is how you can push the code to the AWS code commit.